New rescue dogs benefit a lot from routines, especially when they are fearful or timid. But it can't just be any routine. It has to be specifically designed to boost our dog's confidence. I've been implementing things for my rescue ex-street dog, Sammy, for years now. And in this video, I'm going to show you our daily routine, and you can just take it as it is or adjust it for your dog's special needs. Now, we start our day with just going to the toilet and then food. But this is the first moment where we can include our dog's needs in our day-to-day things, right? So my Sammy doesn't get his food in a regular bowl. He gets his food on a licky mat, because this is something that comes natural to dogs, and for most dogs, licking is relaxing as well. It also helps dogs eat more slowly, which is very often beneficial for the digestive system, especially in stressed dogs, and usually recently adopted dogs do have a higher stress level. So switching your regular food bowl for a licky mat can be a great idea. After he got his food, I usually work, so this is sleepy time for Sammy. He knows that whenever he wants to, he can come to me and I will pay attention to him, but he also knows that this is my working time and he just gets to rest. He knows I'm not asking him to do anything until we go for our walk. Our walk usually happens around noon, depending on how hot it is, right? When it's hot, we go later. But if it's not that hot, we go around noon. And this is a walk specifically designed for exploration, for confidence building, for team building between me and my dog. And we do that with giving our dogs as much choice as possible. So Sammy decides if he wants to walk, where he wants to walk, and how long he wants to walk. Of course, some days I have to limit the length of the walk because I need to go to an appointment or anything, but most of the time he gets to decide. And that gives him the security of always knowing that when things get too tricky, he can come back home as fast as he wants to. Of course, I will help him when things get tricky, but sometimes that's not enough and he needs to stop the walk. That's why he gets to decide. Also, we have little islands on these walks where we do things that either are training, so especially for his reactivity, we choose spots where he can practice his strategies for meeting other dogs, people, whatever. Also, we have spots where he can just watch whatever he wants to watch. Of course, those are spots where there are actually things to watch and actually triggers to train on. But we also have islands for just playing his favorite games, right? He loves sniffing and he loves everything that includes searching. So that's what we do on these islands. When he was younger, we also had an island for a stalking game with his ball. That was also something he enjoyed very much. But as he got older, we had to switch that to something calmer. And after the walk, when we get home, he gets another licky mat. Now, this is something we had to include because he gets a medicine that we smear on the licky mat, but it's also a nice ritual to calm down after the walk again. And very often we then have some alone time. Now, some dogs need a little help with learning how to be on their own, right? And staying home alone in a relaxed way. But for Sammy, that was never an issue. So thankfully, that was something very easy for him. And the alone time is for him also a time to relax, to sleep, and to process whatever we encountered on our walk. Now, even if I'm home, I honor this time. So I work, or on my days off, I read something or I watch TV or whatever. But I do not ask anything of Sammy because this is his chilling time, right? Before we start our next activity. And the next activity is in the afternoon, either something with training. Most of the time we do medical training or try new games or things like that. Or if I have a lot to work and or he has a stressful day, he gets something enriching that he can do by himself. And most of the time that's boxes or a snuffle mat, something like that. So it's just, again, enrichment with food that comes very natural to dogs. So this is another time where he can fulfill his needs. And the more we let our dogs fulfill their needs, the less problems we get in day-to-day life. Now, after that session, he gets another short resting time and then food. Again, he gets his food on a licky mat. And at night, just before we go to bed, we do another toilet walk and he gets the last bit of his food in boxes again. And sometimes we do the boxes indoors when it's rainy or just crappy weather, or we do the boxes outside to help him explore new areas and just be outside sniffing. Again, that boosts confidence because the boxes are sometimes easier and sometimes harder, because if the box is very narrow and very high, it's more tricky to put the head in, right? Because it sounds different and the feeling of the cardboard on the face, all of that can be very tricky. Now, I always see that the boxes are on a quiet flooring, so they don't make additional sounds that could scare him and that they don't slip as much, right? The food is not only in the boxes, but also in between the boxes. So the dog always has a choice if he wants to do a box or not. If a box is too tricky, there is always an easier one next to it, or food on the ground next to it. And we do not prompt the dogs to do anything. So we just give them the opportunity to do this in their own speed, at their own volition, and they can just decide what boxes they want to do, what boxes to leave out. And if they ask for our help, so just look at us expectantly or come to us or nudge us with their nose, anything like that, we can go help. But other than that, we stay out of it. So this is just really teaching self-efficacy, and that boosts confidence. Every time we give our dogs choices, we boost their confidence. And then after we have done our boxes, we go to sleep. Now, this whole day is designed to meet our dogs' needs, to give them choices, to give them opportunities to overcome their fears, and to really get into boldness and into confidence. It also honors our dogs' natural sleep cycles, because unlike us humans, dogs sleep multiple times a day, but not as long as we do. So with alternating between activities and sleep time, we honor that schedule. Again, that helps our dogs lower the stress levels. It helps our dogs feel relaxed and calm. And that's what we need in day-to-day life, right? All of that is the reason why training works a lot faster. Our dogs have enough time to process whatever they experience and to really get newly learned stuff to stick. Another important part of this whole routine is that Sammy can always come to me for snugglies. So whenever he needs contact, whenever he needs somebody to lean on, I am there, except when he's home alone, right? But he knows when that's gonna be, so that it's easier for him to get used to that. Now, some of these parts of the routine, like the training and the boxes, we can also use for leash activity, just as I have done with Sammy, right? We need a strategy for that as well, but we can easily include that into our walks, into our routines, and have very fast success and get those calm walks we want, right? And if you want to learn more about that, watch this.